Hey folks, welcome back. Chris in the Lakes District in England. Earlier today I read a statement from the economic freedom fighters in South Africa bemoaning the interference of the United States into South Africa's foreign policy, which isn't the case at all. Their media statement covering that, also the behavior of the chief of the South African Defense Force, is full of nonsense and outright propaganda, to say the very least. As I stand here behind me, a boat pulling out, you can see it just now coming into view, heading on to Lake Windermere. Evening tourist headed out to take a look around the lake. That's the 45-minute tour that I took earlier today. We got 3 boats for that. Anyways, they head out. Let's talk about this statement from the economic freedom fighters. 2 things they're addressing: the U.S. interfering with South Africa's foreign policy. Nothing could be further from the truth. South Africa is a sovereign state, and it can take whatever actions it wants within international norms. That's their prerogative. They can do what they like, but don't think it doesn't come with consequences. Your actions, which have been frequently contrary to the national security interests of the United States, its friends, partners, allies, for well over 20 years, thumbing your nose at the rule of law, thumbing your nose at international norms, supporting known state sponsors of terror, like Iran, who sponsors Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah, in their effort to murder innocent civilians throughout the Middle East and elsewhere. So you can have your relations with Iran, but if you think it doesn't come with consequences, then you're just fools. And if you think you can go your own way in this world, more power to you, EFF. But the economic freedom fighters doesn't rule South Africa, and never will rule South Africa in any fashion, shape, or form whatsoever, because they're just a bunch of leftist malcontents who've never accomplished anything in their life and whine about everything. Now, the main purpose of this video is to talk about the EFF and its complaint about the general who leads the South African National Defense Force, General Rdzani Mapwanya. Now, the situation with Mapwanya is that he went to Iran and he acted as if he was a diplomat, stating foreign policy, attacking the United States, attacking Israel, and laying out a claim to be a spokesperson for South Africa's foreign policy, which he's not. His actions go beyond the authority of a general, beyond the head of a chief of defense force, and were inappropriate, immoral, and frankly, illegal. So the EFF is saying that the South African government is weak and has no business sanctioning or punishing this general for his behavior. In fact, that's their responsibility to do exactly that. The EFF is arguing that the military, their statements, in essence, are independent of civilian rule. Yet you claim to live in a democratic state run by civilian government, and you're saying that the military should overrule its civil leaders. That only happens in coup-prone West African and Central African states, not in reasonable, responsible, democratic states. If you want to talk about being a sovereign state, EFF, that has its own chart to path in the world and is not subject to the whims of foreign imperial powers, how about you focus on democratic rule, which your constitution calls for? You're a democratic state, not a military coup-prone state. Generals are subservient to political leaders. It's not political interference. It's called oversight. There's a reason why democratic governments have oversight over professional militaries. And it's not to serve the wild needs of pretend soldiers like the EFF who've never served in uniform, who've never accomplished anything in life, never suffered in combat, who know nothing about what they speak of. These rogue little pretend red Teletubby soldiers, just like their friends in the MK with their green colors, you're not real soldiers. You're stolen valor soldiers. And what you say has little bearing on the world. Stop your nonsense. And it's time the government of South Africa started taking action against the behavior of the EFF, whether it's its racist rants and calls for the murder of white Afrikaners.
Who left? Who right? Come on, sir. Who left? Kita? Killer man. Wata. Tawarumo. Tawarumo. Asicha. Where were you when I'm dead? Where were you when I'm dead? So for skitchy. Emoye. So for skitchy. Alliance. Shoot to kill. Yamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. Attention.
Or it's nonsense like this, calling for the military overthrow of the government. It's utter nonsense that needs to stop. It's time for the government of South Africa to start taking action against rogue political parties like the Economic Freedom Fighters who misbehave in a fashion like this. These people act as if they're in Chad or in Sudan or Mali or Burkina Faso and Niger, coup-prone countries where the military overthrows its civilian elected government over and over again. That should not be the case in South Africa. It's time to get control of this nonsense and end it once and for all. These people are out of control. They're not a political party. They're masquerading as a political party. They're people undermining the democracy of South Africa each and every day. You want to talk about threats to South Africa's democracy? Look no further than the Economic Freedom Fighters, who are calling for military basically to overrule the civilian government of South Africa. If that's not a threat to democracy, what is? You tell me, South Africa, Mzansi. Cheers.